one of the suspected armed robbers, yet to be identified, who was hiding in the nearby room, opened fire on the police and kicked the hand of one of our officers.
It was in the afternoon, broad daylight. Everybody was there. They didn't retrieve anything. My dad doesn't have a gun. For you to say he even shot at a police officer.
The onus is on the service to explain this particular death. Armed robber or not.
The people could not hold back tears when they were handed the body of their respected opinion leader in the town. This is Ntoaso in the Nsawa-Madridwe municipality of the Eastern region. They wondered why such a meek and respectable life was cut short in such a brutal manner, but they know how it happened. On April 27, 2021, the police raided and killed 4 young men in Ntoaso. Their bullet-ridden bodies were loaded into the bucket of the police pickup trucks and taken to the police mortuary in Accra. The police claimed they were armed robbers. When the families of the deceased tried getting answers about the killings from the Nsawan police station, they were directed to seek those answers at the police headquarters in Accra. 58-year-old William Ofori Okaite, popularly called Bra Ofori, led a delegation to the police headquarters to make inquiries about these killings. Bra Ofori could not get a satisfactory response from the police, but he got the bodies of the 4 young men for burial, an effort which some police officers at the police headquarters attested to. 2 months after killing the 4 young men, the mask-wearing policemen returned to Ntoaso, a community that was not calm due to the earlier police operation. This time, their victim was the rather calm William Ofori Okaite. The police shot and killed him under disturbing circumstances, as narrated by residents. Bra Ofori was a farmer and one of the principal overseers of the huge lands owned by the Okaite, Akron, Dowona, and Yeboah families. According to his brother Tete Okaite, Bra Ofori was the one tasked with selling the lands on behalf of the family. On that fateful Tuesday, Bra Ofori had nowhere going. He had planned to take the day off to rest, but the police would put him to rest forever. His neighbors said he had earlier in the day engaged some census officers who were collecting information for the national population census. As the engagement proceeded, they heard gunshots, so Bra Ofori reportedly rushed into his room. A few moments later, shouts from enraged police would be heard at the doorstep of Bra Ofori. The residents said the police were chasing one notorious landguard in the area named Ni Anan.
While the police were hard on the heels of the suspect, he initiated a curve at my left-hand side that led him straight to the doorstep of Mr. William Ofori Okaite. The suspect, Ni Anan, then initiated another curve, totally escaping and dodging. This door leads to Bra Ofori's room, and a peep through this window will show you the kitchen. According to eyewitness accounts, when the police were chasing after Ni Anan, the suspected armed robber, and they got here, they heard movement in the room, and so they shouted at the occupants in the room to come out. When the occupants refused to open the door, the police shouted that they will shoot on the count of 3, and indeed, after the count of 3, they shot sporadically into the room. Again, eyewitness accounts say that after the shooting ceased, they broke the door and then entered and dragged out the occupant. Again, the eyewitness said that after dragging him out, then they shot him right here on the floor before moving him into the bucket of their vehicle.
Members of CID Management Board.
On 30th June 2021, the Director General of the Criminal Investigation Department, COP Isaac Yeboah, addressed the incident.
Yesterday, as part of the security measures adopted by the police administration under the new anti-armed robbery task force, strategy to curb robberies and other violent crimes in the country, intelligence from a source had indicated that some armed robbers were in possession of arms and ammunition and had concealed them at Ntoaso, a town in Eastern region. In response to the intelligence gathered, the team from the National Operations Directorate, Surveillance Unit and other combat patrol teams were dispatched to the location to retrieve the said weapons. On reaching the location, the suspected robbers took to their heels on seeing the police. The team began a search at the premises, and in the process, one of the suspected armed robbers, yet to be identified, who was hiding in the nearby room, opened fire on the police and hit the hand of one of our officers, injuring his 2 fingers in the process. The police officer is on admission at the police hospital at the moment. The police also responded accordingly and gunned down the suspect robber while the other escaped arrest.
Me say, Madam Papa man come because also of the justice. Or Pena Obuno.
A police for no, almost say or am robber.
Ah, there you
almost say or can a conform moving on Mukuno.
Oh, Wabua. Wabua, and the young quarry. Oh, Nimushi.
A security analyst and professor of security studies at the Kofi Annan Peacekeeping Training Center, Kwesi Enim, believes the Ntoaso killings and the police account raise serious concerns.
It's a very disturbing set of footage, and it raises considerable unanswered questions about the quality of intelligence, the type of operations that are mounted as a response to the intelligence, the use of ballistics expertise to be able to find out the direction or otherwise of the claims that have been made about who shot first and from where. I think they are extremely disturbing issues around the availability of both weapons and ammunition.
The CID director lumped the killings of the 4 young men and the killing of Bra Ofori together. However, the 2 incidents happened 2 months apart. The residents of Ntoaso considered that some of the young men killed earlier were of questionable character, but they denied any attempt to link Bra Ofori to any crime. They also said the weapons seized were those taken when the 4 were killed earlier and had nothing to do with the operation that killed Bra Ofori. The residents also denied the police account that Bra Ofori was an armed robber who shot at the police from the room where he was hiding. They said it didn't make sense for an armed robber who was hiding in the room to shoot at the police when they were passing. According to them, the nature of the room made it difficult for someone to shoot from inside unless they opened the door or windows. When the 4th Estate visited the crime scene, there was no evidence of bullet marks on the wall or anywhere coming from inside the room. There were, however, bullet marks from outside.
Except that armed robber is a kamikaze armed robber, that he's committed some crimes, already dispersed the profits that have come out of that crime, and decides that I want to go down in a hail of bullets and become a hero, some Robin Hood type hero. But I don't think that is what happened in this case. But Manasseh, you and I should not even be arguing about this case, because in the argument from the tape and from the police press conference is that the armed robber fired first. And this is where the ballistics people come in. This is where the forensics come in. So until we've used the expertise and the knowledge inherent within the service, then I think the onus is on the service to explain this particular death, armed robber or not. And equally important is that a shoot to kill strategy also reduces the opportunity for the police to get intelligence.
The CID director also claimed one of the suspects tried to snatch the rifle of one of the policemen.
We were, however, able to arrest one again. And then when the team were moving from the place to headquarters, one of the suspects attempted to snatch the weapon on one of the policemen, and then he was also gunned down.
The residents believe the suspect was killed on the way to conceal evidence. According to them, the police handcuffed the suspect after arresting him, and there was no way a handcuffed man could pose so much danger in a moving car to warrant his killing.
The press conference was also riddled with internal contradictions. One relates to, I think, one of the young men who was handcuffed in a police vehicle and bold enough to attack with his handcuffs, strong enough and threatening enough that the gentleman was killed. Now, we know that routinely when you handcuff somebody, even when the person is handcuffed in front of him, but usually behind him, that person's mobility is drastically reduced, and they wouldn't have kept that person with only one officer in that vehicle. So adding to an armed robber who was worried and shot first and had to die in a hail of bullets, and the second one handcuffed in a van with armed officers who becomes so violent that he has to be shot dead, I think it raises fundamental concerns, because the police are trained to use restraint. They know how to restrain people, and that is how issues of route control does come in. So I think there are two disturbing questions that will need to be answered.
For 10 months, the Fourth Estate pursued the Ghana Police Service for a response, but the police have failed to respond to these and other questions relating to the killings of the 6 men in Ntoaso.
He doesn't even have any issue with the police for them to say he's an armed robber.
When Browfori's daughter, Judith Okaite, accused the Ghana Police Service on Twitter of killing her father at home, the Ghana Police Service responded to the tweet, confirming that indeed their men were responsible for the operation on that fateful day.
I made a post on the 30th of June 2021, and this is what I said. Trigger happy hoodlums parading as Ghana police officers went to my dad's house, shot and killed him because he had video evidence on his phone on the killing of 4 guys by the police 2 months ago. I am dumbfounded. What is going on in Ghana? And then the police came, quoted my tweet and said, and I read, these pictures show a place similar to the place at Ntoaso in the eastern region where police arrested armed robbers and retrieved several arms and ammunition, including about 3,000 AK-47 ammunition. This was in the news from the police briefing at the CID on 30th June 2021. And it went on to say, the man who shot one of the officers was also shot by the police. Does that mean your father was the armed robber who was shot by police? You, now Judith, should answer questions from the police.
The Daily Guide newspaper published a story indicating that Judith was wanted by the police over a tweet regarding her father's death. Yet, the Fourth Estate's checks showed that no such warrant was issued for her arrest.
The police never called me, nor sent me an official mail, aside what they quoted, that they would have to invite me. Nobody, no police officer called, texted, emailed, nothing to tell me, hey, with the post you made, we think we need to invite you for questioning. Nobody. Someone came to tell me UTV is interviewing one police officer, and the man said in Chi, as a Chi station, that me were omo akokom sesia. So meaning I'm in their custody, they are questioning me, and I was surprised.
Some residents of Ntoaso, including the NPP polling station chairman, Wisdom Akoto, who spoke to the Fourth Estate, attested to the innocence of Bra Ofori. Before his death, Bra Ofori was the new Patriotic Party's polling station organizer for the area. The Member of Parliament for Nsaoma Adreji constituency, Frank Anodompre, said, quote, I knew Bra Ofori. He was a very decent man, unquote.
These are the items that were retrieved from them. One AK-47 assault rifle, one M16 rifle, one pump action gun, one shotgun, a pistol locally manufactured, 2,882 rounds of AK-47 ammunition, 2,882 rounds of AK 7.62 ammunition, 840 rounds of M16 ammunition, 23 BB cartridges, one 7.62 cartridge, 7 machetes, clubs, sword, knives, crowbar, military camouflage uniform, and then traditional warrior smoke. If you see it, you think that I don't know whether it is bulletproof or what.
When the CID director announced the items they retrieved from the crime scene, the residents say they left out other properties of the victims. They said the police seized the flat screen television set Bismarck was mounting before the police killed him. They also reportedly took the mobile phones and sound systems of the victims. The police seized a motorbike belonging to Enoch, one of the young men killed earlier. The Fourth Estate got a receipt of the motorbike from Enoch's father and pictures of Enoch on the motorbike. The said motorbike was last spotted at the police headquarters being used by 2 ununiformed policemen. All these valuables were not disclosed at the CID director's press conference.
My assessment of the last 18 months is that there are 2 types of forces against the change that we are looking for. Those who carry out these operations and operations that lead to the loss of lives. Now, when you have official operations leading to loss of life, that brings about the disaffection towards the service. So I think that is something that, I think you use the word extrajudicial killings. I think it is contingent both upon the Police Professional Standards Bureau, the Parliamentary Committee on Defense and Interior, to go into these killings.
The cry of an old woman, calling for justice for the 4 men the police killed before they later shot and killed Bra Ofori. The 4, Enoch Okaikwe Okante, Kwame Halu, Bismarck Hammond, and Joseph, popularly known as Stampedom, were known to be close friends. Kwame, Bismarck, and Joseph had come to visit Enoch at home. Bismarck, in particular, was there to mount a new television set and also repair a fault on Enoch's new motorbike. Enoch and Kwame were known landguards, according to residents of the area. The same could not be said of Bismarck and Joseph. These landguards were said to be protecting Ntoaso lands bequeathed to them by their forebears. Enoch had been installed as one of the youth chiefs of Ntoaso. He was known as the Mrantehene. At the coronation, Bra Ofori was the one tasked with advising them on their responsibilities to the families and to the town. Residents of Ntoaso say the police engaged in an extrajudicial killing of the 6 men, including Bra Ofori.
Enipa nso a wosusu se omoya akronfo a posifo kobo mutuo e wo mason kwanta mainstream no.
This is not the first time the police have killed suspected criminals in such suspicious circumstances. In 2018, the police shot and killed 7 Zongo youth in Manso Nkwanta in the Ashanti region and displayed weapons allegedly used by the robbers who engaged the police in a shootout. The police claimed that the 7 men were armed robbers who were killed during a gunfire exchange, a claim the Zongo community contested.
They are killing us. Brothers, this is not the first time and this is not the second time.
A 7-member committee led by Justice Obeng Diewo probed the killings and reported that there was no evidence that the 7 were armed robbers, and neither was there an exchange of gunfire. The police administration interdicted 21 personnel who took part in the operation, but they are yet to face the law. In the Ntoaso killings, there have not been any investigations. When the 4th estate visited the community a number of times, the residents were too scared to speak on camera for fear of being targeted by the police. In Bra Ofori's grave was another coffin. In it were the remains of his father. 86-year-old Seth Okaite became visually impaired as a result of old age. He could barely do anything without the help of his son, Bra Ofori, who had become his caretaker. When Bra Ofori was killed, the old man couldn't contain it. His blood pressure levels reportedly shot up and he died. A father and his son lay side by side, leaving behind a family that might never find the right answers and justice from the police who control the narratives of the 6 killings in Ntoaso.
When the trailer of this documentary was aired, the Ghana Police Service called the editor-in-chief of the 4th Estate, Manasseh Azuri, into a meeting to explain what happened in Ntoaso on the 2 occasions.
The account of the police is not so different from what the people gave, except, of course, the circumstances leading to the deaths. The police indeed confirmed that 4 people were killed, and I asked whether anybody was arrested, and they said that the rest ran away, so they couldn't arrest any single person. The second operation, what they said was that when they got into the community, the young men, upon seeing the police, decided to run away. So they chased them into the community and then started going from house to house, and from there they realized there was an armed robber, or a suspected armed robber, in a room who shot and then injured the fingers of one of the policemen, and then they returned fire and killed this person. And what they say is that this person is actually Bra Ofori, And I mentioned the fact that the people said they dragged him outside and shot him, and there was blood where he was shot and killed outside, according to the community members. The explanation the police gave was that, well, if he was shot in the room and dragged outside and kept on the ground or in front of his room for some time, the blood we saw could have been as a result of they keeping him there for some time before putting him into the pickup truck. They denied ever bringing him out and shooting him. They also still insist that the weapons they displayed were from Brofori's room, and from all indications, Brofori was an armed robber, and that is what their intelligence gathered.
After the second operation, there was a young man who was arrested, and we understand the police said he was shot in a moving vehicle. What exactly did the police say regarding that?
On the issue of the third person or the second person who was killed in the second operation, bringing a number of the killings or those killed to 6, the police, as we speak, could not even give the name of the person, and that they said this young man was arrested, and the community members say that he was handcuffed. The police admit that he was handcuffed, and I said, if somebody was handcuffed, what danger could he pose to be shot in a moving vehicle? The explanation the police gave, and this was the Deputy Director General of the Criminal Investigations Department, he spoke to me. He said sometimes they handcuff the suspects from behind. By this time, or in this case, he was handcuffed in front. So in the moving vehicle, the back of a pickup truck, when they were on their way to Accra, this suspect, they claim, was trying to snatch an AK-47 rifle from one of the policemen at the back of the vehicle. So the police officer whose gun he was trying to snatch was able to get away from him and then shot him with the AK-47. When I asked them, they say he was shot in the chest. And so I wanted to find out whether there were others or other police people in that vehicle, and they said yes, there were other policemen. So I asked, how was it done that if someone was handcuffed and then was even trying to pick up or seize a weapon, how possible was it that or why couldn't they overpower him, arrest him? And they said, well, he posed danger, it appeared there was a struggle, and then he was shot. I asked also how many people were in that vehicle when this man was shot, and they said, well, they couldn't say the number of people who were in the vehicle. And in all of this, he was the only person who was taken alive from Ntoaso. All the rest they claimed ran away, so he was the only one who was taken alive. But he didn't get to the police headquarters alive. He was shot and killed on the way. And I tried to even ask whether the bullets penetrated to hit the vehicle or anything. They said, well, it isn't all the time that an AK-47 bullet could penetrate and then hit something else. So with this person, they said they put him in the police morgue for some time and there was no identification. So he was buried as an unidentified corpse. And as we speak, there is nothing on this suspect.
The community members said that the police took some motorbikes, for which some of them actually saw some police officers riding the said motorbike. During your meeting, did you raise this issue? And when you did, what did the police say?
Well, the police mentioned that they seized 3 motorbikes in the first operation. And one of them was what appeared like Enoch's motorbike, because that was what the community members said. They even saw there's some policemen riding it. So I requested to see it. They said it was part of the exhibits. They gave me a time, another date, and when we went, there were 3 of the motorbikes there. 2 of the motorbikes had the dates that they were brought to the police headquarters. They were labeled, seized from Ntoaso crime scene, and the date was there, I think 28th April. But the third one, which is the motorbike in contention, the one belonging to Enoch, didn't have a date on it. And the motorbike looked so old because from the information we have and the documents, that bike was bought a month before the raid and it was fairly new. But what I saw there was very old. Some parts had even broken. I think it wasn't even registered. There was no registration number. And this appeared like a very old motorbike. And so that raises questions. But the police said these were the motorbikes they seized from the people.